Hello fellow woodturners, and welcome to another episode of The Naked Turner. Today I have a sausage blank of wood here with this layout that I've glued up. It was from an old project and I happen to have a piece of it left. So after watching Mike Waldt's video on a staved goblet, staved segmented stem goblet, I thought I might take this piece that I had and try to turn something out of it, and we'll see what happens. It's a little bit odd. I've got pine. Pine is the light wood, oak, and sapel. So three different types. Or actually, wait a minute. This one I think is not sapel. This one is a mahogany, a Fijian mahogany strips. Honduras mahogany grown in Fiji. Anyway, I have a piece of this that I've cut off of this section and already have it chucked up on my lathe, and I'm going to get ready to start turning it here. Okay, so I've roughed it in to a cylinder using my roughing tool, and now I'm coming back with this bowl gouge and using my bowl gouge to create some of these curves. I just parted this piece off the end of this, and because of that I have a little bit of wobble out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue parting off this little nub first. And I'm going to bring my tailstock in. And slowly bring it in so that I can find exact center. It's almost there. There we go. Okay, that's pretty, yeah, that's real good. Very little run out, which means wobble. Okay, tightening up. There we go. So now, what I'm going to do is a little shear scraping out here. Actually, first a little cutting. Rubbing the bevel. And I'm going for a tulip shape here a little bit. Okay, look at what kind of pattern I have here. Okay, that looks really cool. No tear out, very smooth. I'm going to come down the hill this way. See a little bit of a rough spot. Rubbing the bevel, introducing the cutting edge. Okay. Yeah, so there's the basic shape at this point. Now I want to leave as much meat as I can here and do some hollowing out on the inside of it. See what I'm going to do. I'm going to start my cut with a Forstner bit up to about there, just to make it easier. I know some people might not like this, some purists of turning, but I started out and did a lot of purist of turning type of stuff, and now I'm realizing that really the best thing to do, if if you're going to turn and turn to make money, you want to do things relatively quickly. This is one way to get the hole started and have the depth that you want. So I'm going to actually take and mark the approximate depth that I want on here. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to go too far because I want to round the bottom of this vessel. So it looks to me like if I go 1 3/4 inches, I'll be okay. So I'm going to make a little hash mark right there, and I'll be able to see that as it's spinning. All right. Everything's locked down. Chuck's tightened up, and we're going to turn this down to around 350, 400 RPM. And I could start out with a little bigger hole, but I don't really need to. Just making a nice, easy entry point. And I'm going to head down to right at the top. There. And that'll be a good stopping point. And from that point I can round out the bottom of this. Okay, pulling out my truck, removing my tailstock, and moving the tailstock out of the way. Through the far end of my lathe bed. Alright, so now I can start hollowing. I'll change the camera angle. Okay, so now I have my hole drilled. I have it to a depth that I like. I'm going to be taking the same bowl gouge here and opening up this hole. Turn up the speed now. Stop and take a look at this just because I want to see what kind of pattern I'm getting out here at the edge. Okay, so I need to clean up this edge a little bit for one thing. There we go. Now I have a true and splinter-free edge there going across the end grain of that oak. Alright, that's looking nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep hollowing inside of here with this gouge. I'm using it as right now as a scraper. And doing that way makes pretty quick work. The hollowing. Let's move this. Oops. Torus is a little sticky. Okay. Alright, so there we go. I'm getting it down to a good thickness. Now I just need to increase the depth on it. To do that, I'm going to be utilizing my scraper, and I'll be going down inside of here with my 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch scraper. I'm working the tool at the bottom to try to remove a little nub, which I believe I just did. Yes. Okay, so I can go a little bit deeper, but I'm getting very close to my desired shape and size. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty much got it right there. I'll do a little bit more scraping with a good sharpen. I'm going to sharpen up my scraper tool right now, and I'll show you a little bit of that. Okay, so I've never really showed my sharpening station, but what I have set up here is I have the platform, which is one-way. I have a one-way bevel compound angle grinding jig for all of my bowl gouges and other gouges, and then that fits into this trombone here, and then I have this platform here which I use for sharpening any of my scrapers, skew chisels and things like that. And then over here on this side I have an 8-inch, well, what used to be an 8-inch cotton rag wheel, and it's a tight cotton rag. It's not a loose cotton rag wheel, it's tight, and I use that to take the burr down or roll the burr ever so slightly right toward the end of my grinding. So I'll show you the process. Safety gear, always make sure you have your face shield, and I have this set at my desired angle. If you really want to learn some great stuff about utilizing these jigs, there's some really good videos online about making marks, which I've done on top of my platform that show me 45 degrees and other angles and a straight center line down the middle. Cindy Drozda, D-R-O-Z-D-A, has a really good sharpening lesson, and then there's some other people that do as well. Alright, safety. And this is how I'm doing this. Starting at my 45 and rolling it through to my other 45. And then what I get is a really nice grind on here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me change. Alright. So I'm starting over here. Light touch. And there we go. I have a really sharp edge. Then what I do, the can over here, and I'll come over here below the wheel, just very lightly polish that edge, and then I get a nice rolled hook here. It's real sharp. Alright, that's how I sharpen the scraper. Alright, so now that I have the scraper sharpened, I'll be bringing that back in, lowering my tool rest just a hair. There we go. I think, yep, just a tiny bit of shear scraping now right along this edge. And I'm going to do that with this bowl gouge, except it needs a little bit of sharpening. So let's go show you how I sharpen that. Okay, so here I have the one-way angle clamp jig, which is going to fit into my trombone, and I'll show you that in a minute. But first thing, I have a block set up here at the edge of my grinding station that I can just put my tool against and slide the jig to, tighten it up, and once it's tightened up like that, then it's ready to go, and that way I can do repeatable grinds. I have a specific mark for this gouge here, which I think this one is about 55 degrees. Okay, now what I do over here is adjust the angle here of the camera a little, and this is going to be a little tough. The camera may be in the way, might be hard for you to see this because during this operation I have to go all the way from one side of this tool to the other, and this particular tool, the handle does not come off of. So I have a mark here on my trombone that's approximately fairly close to where I want to go for this blade. Oh no, sorry, that's not this one, that's this one. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm just lining up my angle at the tip and then making sure that as I come around I have full contact. And one thing you can do so that you can see if you're getting full contact is you take and put some black Sharpie along the edge. I generally don't do this anymore just because I've gotten fairly good at seeing the angle. But if you're having a hard time seeing the angle for whatever reason, due to poor eyesight or anything, because it happens, you can use this technique where you take and I'm just turning by hand and seeing where I'm grinding. So you can see I'm just hitting the heel a tiny bit, which means that I want to come out ever so slightly to try to get a little bit more. The idea here is you want to grind away as little as possible. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but see now how I'm getting equal grind all the way across the black Sharpie? That shows me that I'm at the right location, the right angle, and the right distance away from the wheel. Because the wheel is shrinking all the time, you'll constantly have to adjust where that is, but that gives you a good reference point. Okay, so this works. Safety gear on. Make sure you're tightened down. And then the way this works is you want to work on the two wings first and then blend in the tip. Very light touch. You want to grind as little of the metal away as possible to prolong your tool life. Very light touch. Okay, you can see I'm getting that. Okay, now I'm going to blend this little ridge right here. Okay. Alright, and there it is. I have one little spot over here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but that's super sharp now. And all I need to do is carefully pull the tool grinder jig off, and then we'll swing over here. And I just do the same thing, a real light, like this, like that, and a little bit on the tip. And then, hopefully you can see this, what I do a little bit of a heel grind right here, which I can show you how I do that. I just do that by hand. Go back over here, and all I do to do that is roll the tool there, and I've removed, let's see if I can get it in focus. Yeah, see, so I've just removed a little bit of the heel of the grind. It makes it easier to get into the bottom of bowls and make little turns and corners and stuff like that. All right, we're ready to go back and turn. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the shear scraping with that nice and freshly sharpened, extremely sharp gouge. Now this you may not get to see a lot because a lot of the time I'll be in the way on this process. Doing some real fine shear scraping too. Yeah, there we go. I like it. Just getting rid of the little nubs in there. Okay, so now try to transition across the bottom here. Okay, that should do it. Yep. All right. So I have it sanded here. I'm going to do a tiny bit more sanding with a 320. A little bit of 320. And I'm going to be coming in here anyway, so I don't need to sand so much there. More about there and here. All right, so I'm going to apply some finish, shallow wax, friction rub. That's looking cool. The inside looks awesome. Alright, so now I wish I had a tennis ball, because Mike Waldt always puts a tennis ball in the end of the cup here, but I can't seem to find any tennis balls here. We used to have a bunch, but I don't seem to be able to find one now, so I'm going to see if I can improvise with something else. And I'm hoping that maybe what I'll end up doing is bringing this piece of padding in and putting my center point into it, and that'll stabilize this some. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so I brought my tailstock in, and I have a piece of this child's safety mat between my tailstock and the cup itself, and that'll help stabilize that hopefully. I have this weird, some of the oak that I used in this stave goblet had some oxidizing on it, so I have some black lines through it, which is a little funny, but I'm going to have to just live with that. So here I have it sanded down to 320, and I'm going to be applying some finish. It's looking like it's going to turn out really nice. I do have, like I was saying earlier, I have some funny stuff where one of the pieces of oak had some oxidization on it, but I knew that already. And it's unfortunate, but it might look cool. We'll see. It's still going to look good. That's what I'm going to say anyway. Yeah, see that blackness there? Oh well. That was because when I made that original glue up, I had not milled that one edge of that particular piece of oak, and that's what I ended up with. Okay, so now stopping, backing that out of the way completely. Don't want any friction on there. There we have it. So now I'll just be carving this off and doing some sanding on the bottom, put a little finish on that. But there it is. The inside came out beautiful. It's like a tulip, which was what I was hoping for. And the outside is sort of tulip-esque as well. I got some interesting geometry. Got some blackening in there, which, you know, that's fine. Gives it a little character. And a little imperfection is always good. So hopefully you can see that. I'll take a few stills and post that. That's another episode of The Naked Turner. Hope you enjoyed. And once again, this was an inspired piece by watching Mike Waldt's stave-stemmed goblet, and he is the goblet master.
Falling at a speed which dizzies my head, suspended by a silky gossamer thread, falling into time, into the future. When I land, I need no suture. Cosmic ties, atomic bound, we're all family lost and found. A free box of genealogy, we are our own best apology. Cells divided must be united. At some point, a riot may be incited, holding a thin yet rich DNA thread, while visions of ancestors are flooding my head. Tempest me not, primordial plot, seismic contortion, media distortion. I'm falling, falling at a rate that makes my heart palpitate, holding my beliefs as they originate, forming my future through my peptides. My receptors shine light where knowledge hides. We are all connected, we interconnect. This is one thing you can't neglect. Forceful entry onto this planet. This is how all life began. Spinning through space, the final frontier. A little bird whispered in my ear. I hear the message and I pass it on. A humanist life from dusk till dawn.